A review of The Rights of Man 2, mod for Napoleon Total War. I recently reviewed the Rights of Man mod for Empire Total War, and thought that it would be appropriate to simultaneously work on a review of its sequel, The Rights of Man 2, for Napoleon Total War. Napoleon Total War is definitely one of my personal favorite Total War games, and honestly, it is probably the first Total War game I've played where I thought that the vanilla game was good enough to enjoy even without mods. That doesn't mean the game isn't without its issues, especially in terms of the AI, which, while it is no doubt better than the disaster that was Empire's AI, still has lots of problems. Enter The Rights of Man 2. Like its predecessor, this mod does not seek to make Napoleon Total War unrecognizable. It tries to do exactly what the original Rights of Man did for Empire, but making the game more difficult both on the campaign map and in battles. Through rebalanced mechanics, an improved AOR system, improved campaign and battle AI, all leading to a more challenging and rewarding experience. Let's get into it. Since The Rights of Man 2 is a sequel, it takes a lot of the design philosophy from the original mod and applies it to Napoleon. It strives to slow down the campaign and battle gameplay a bit to make it more deliberate, but not to an extreme degree like other mods, and it avoids making the campaign a grind. It rebalances essentially every mechanic in the game, including the technology and building trees, in order to facilitate the more deliberate campaign experience as well. Like the version for Empire Total War, campaigns are much tougher in The Rights of Man 2. You can't just steamroll over enemy factions without thinking about province management and the sustainability of your economy. You have to be able to balance the costs of maintaining your armies and navies while strengthening your control of newly conquered provinces, which can be tough. In The Rights of Man 2, liberating countries and establishing protectorates becomes a more viable strategy, since if you conquer a province but don't have enough troops to maintain control of it, you can rely on establishing a protectorate to keep control and establish buffer zones as well, if you can no longer advance. Additionally, garrisons, like in The Rights of Man for Empire, have been strengthened, so you will be better able to defend your provinces with garrisons, and it will be tougher to actually assault enemy cities without sufficient force. Napoleon Total War is an excellent game that suffers a little bit from a replayability issue. While I enjoy it very much, including all of the campaigns, the combat does get a bit samey after a while, since you're constantly fighting very similar European armies all the time. Napoleon definitely lacks Empire's ambition in terms of the campaign map as well. However, The Rights of Man 2 does mitigate this all a bit by adding several new regional AOR units, like the Albanian Warband unit, as well as attack column units. These attack columns of infantry and cavalry are larger and slower than standard regiments and serve different purposes on the battlefield. The cavalry attack columns are larger and thus more devastating than the standard cavalry units when used correctly, but their lack of maneuverability makes them vulnerable to mass infantry fire and cavalry charges from more nimble units. It's the same story with the infantry attack columns. These units are larger and slower, so if you have a good mix of troops, you can really strategize and use these columns effectively. France starts the campaign with the technology needed to recruit these troops, while other factions have to research them. Additionally, each nation has access to different types of attack columns, based on the strategies they employed historically. In order to make playing each nation feel a bit more unique in terms of gameplay, each country has certain advantages when it comes to their basic units as well. British infantry are a bit slower and more expensive, while French infantry are faster, which all reflect certain battlefield and logistical realities from the period. The Rights of Man 2 has a few extra features that were not part of the original that are very important to note. It includes a couple of custom Europe campaigns, one starting in 1805 and one in 1812 with the Russian invasion. These are excellent additions to the campaign and definitely add to the replayability of Napoleon, since they are not simply campaigns with certain provinces under the control of a different faction. You get access to a bunch of new playable factions, and you get a lot of unique missions based on what the historical goals were for each faction during that time. They are definitely much appreciated since I felt the vanilla Europe campaign was a bit weak. I want to talk a bit about the campaign and battle AI. The Rights of Man for Empire did tweak the AI in Empire Total War, but it didn't quite go as far as some other mods. While I found the campaign AI to be very good, I found that the battle AI was just competent but not great. Both the campaign and battle AIs in the Rights of Man 2 are excellent. I'm especially impressed by the battle AI. It is aggressive, it will flank you and try to catch you off guard, and it protects its general very well, which is very important. The battle AI is truly great and functions very well when paired with the rebalanced land and naval combat. Really great battles here. Some of the best Napoleon battles I've had. A note about the campaign AI. It is designed to function the best at normal difficulty. Everyone will declare war on you above normal campaign difficulty, and the AI will come after you personally. However, the campaign has been balanced with this in mind, so a normal campaign will still be quite difficult, and the AI will be a competent opponent. The Rights of Man 2 also includes excellent graphical effects, including a modified version of the Whiff of Sulfur smoke mod, as well as great battle sounds. In conclusion, I have to say that the Rights of Man 2, while being the successor to the original mod for Empire, is an excellent mod in its own right. I would say that since Napoleon is a great game and is a tighter, more focused experience than Empire, the Rights of Man 2 didn't have to do as much to improve Napoleon. However, they indeed went above and beyond, and I'd say they did an even better job with the Rights of Man 2. It's an incredibly fun mod that really adds a new layer of difficulty and challenge to Napoleon Total War, both in terms of the campaign and battles, without causing it to feel like a grind and making it very fun at the same time. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video. I'll see you in the next one.